All right, let's talk about one of the most important company that is going to be coming out with earnings, and I'll tell you why. Okay, this small company worth about $17 billion before the huge drop after earnings can easily move markets. So today we have to talk about Snapchat. Okay, so Snapchat just dropped their earnings yesterday, and I'm going to be going through like a brief summary of what was actually said in the entire earnings. And I will also tell you why this small company's earning is going to be affecting a lot of big tech earnings that's going to be coming up in the coming weeks. So let's move over to Snapchat Q3 2022 earnings slides. Okay, so over here you can see that basically they are talking about. Okay, this is kind of funny because they kind of just said this. You should not rely on forward-looking statement as a prediction of future events. Just remember this for now, okay? Because this is going to be foreshadow for something that they're going to show up in the report. Okay, absolutely crazy. All right, but first of all, I think we need to get some numbers out of the way. All right, revenue increased 6% year over year to $1.1 billion in Q3 of 2022. Personally, I feel that this is not exactly a huge revenue increase, considering the fact that a lot of companies that are actually projecting 10% revenue increase year over year. However, I do want to take into consideration that the past year was pretty tough on a lot of companies. So Snapchat definitely did take a brunt of the whole entire hit as well. So to be able to increase revenue year over year, I don't see that as a bad thing anyway. All right, next up we got the average revenue per user at $3.11 compared to $3.49 comparative last year. Okay, so year over year, technically they actually went down in terms of average revenue per user. I think that you can actually see this in two different perspectives. One of it is either the revenue went down, okay, or that the user base went up. Personally, I want to use the latter more than the former, simply because revenue year over year did increase 6%, okay, which means that revenue technically has been increasing. However, the revenue per user went down. Means that there's a lot of users that actually came in, just that the users who actually joined the platform did not really provide any form of a revenue to the company. Okay, so moving on, operating margin 39% compared to negative 39% compared to negative 17%. A little bit upsetting. I think this was one of the reasons why they actually dropped to 26% in the aftermarket. Right now it's the pre-market of Friday. Anyway, adjusted gross margin improved to 61% as compared to 60%. Marginal increase, nothing crazy. All right, this is huge. Net loss was $360 million, including restructuring charges of 155 compared to 72 million in Q3. Okay, so why is this a huge deal? Because the restructuring charges of the 155 million, you have to also take into consideration of the laying off of workers, aka giving them their severance pay and things like that. A lot of charges coming in from restructuring. They had to cut off a few projects, cut losses on some of those programs that they actually wanted to do for 2023. So of course, restructuring actually went up to about $155 million. Net loss ultimately still a little bit over 200 million or so. So definitely not a good thing, which is one of the reasons why this whole entire fiasco just dropped out of the sky. Okay, EBITDA at $73 million in Q3 comparatively to last year at 174 million. But of course, I think that we also have to take into consideration that because Snapchat was almost profitable, and in fact, one of the quarter, if I'm not mistaken, it should be Q2 of last year, they actually went positive. They actually started making profit. Okay, their EPS was not in the negative. They actually started making money. Okay, so kind of sad that they kind of went back down again. So whatever it may be. All right. Okay, the cash flow, I think that's boring. All right, the numbers that I want to be more interested in. DAUs. All right. I'm very, very happy about the DAUs. Honestly speaking, I feel that if the DAUs were any lower, we could easily see the sell-off go to 30 or 35%, simply because of the DAUs actually being there at 363 million. Okay, a lot of people were expecting 358 million. Personally, I was expecting 362 or 6. Okay, I wrote it down. It's 362 to 365. Okay, so I'm happy to see as 363 million. Ultimately, I did hope for 365 million DAUs for this quarter, but nevertheless, this is still a 57 million increase year over year, which is a 19% increase for DAUs. And I'll tell you why this is so important. Okay, for DAUs, for people who are unaware, DAUs basically is daily active users. Okay, for daily active users, you want to see an increased daily active users year over year continuously, simply because you want to see that they are winning market shares in terms of all the other platforms, especially for Snapchat, because they have strong rivals. Okay, of course, predominantly their main rival would be TikTok and Meta platforms. Meta platforms actually hold multiple various different platforms such as your Facebook and your Instagram and so on and so forth. Okay, so obviously Snapchat is going to be coming up against some very strong competition. However, despite the fact that they have so many strong competition, they're still able to increase their DAU by 57 million, which is 19% year over year, which is why I think this is absolutely brilliant. Okay, we have to think about back in quarter one of was it quarter one or quarter two when Apple actually destroyed every social media platform out there with the ad change policy. That destroyed every single social media policy out there. So during that period of time, if we actually think that all the social media platforms will be unable to target their ads properly from there on out, which was why Meta platforms went down, Twitter went down, Snapchat went down, Pinterest went down. Anything to do with social media went down after the change in Apple's advertisement policy. So right now, if we think that there might be a change in Apple's ad targeting policy in the near future, we need to see DAUs going up, because with a strong DAU, it means ad revenue. Okay, ad revenue for the creator would also translate to ad revenue for the company. So I do think that the ad, earlier we talked about the average revenue per user. I want to see the DAU continue to go up, even if the average revenue per user goes down. I'm okay with that. Okay, the average revenue per user, we'll just call it ARPU. Okay, if the ARPU goes down, I'm completely fine with it, because I want to see the user actually goes up. Okay, of course, if the ARPU were to go down simply because of the revenue going down, that would be horrendous. Okay, which is why if you actually put in the consideration, there's no reason for you to get a very high ARPU, because if you have a very, very high ARPU, for example, it means that if you can have like 5 users that is like generating a lot, you might have a very, very high ARPU, but ultimately you're still targeting just 5 people. That doesn't really help the case. Okay, so we do want to have higher DAUs, and that's why I think that this is a relatively good news. Okay, next up, total time spent watching Spotlight content grew 55% year over year. Okay, so for people who are unaware, Spotlight content is basically the TikTok version, but for Snapchat. Okay, so growing 55% year over year. Again, like I said, I think that this is pretty good, considering the fact that they are really up against very, very strong competitors out there. TikTok, with their entire TikTok platform, is on Shorts content. You got your YouTube Shorts, you got your Facebook and Instagram Reels. Okay, all these are all fighting for market shares, and for Snapchat to still be able to grow their Spotlight content by 55% year over year, pretty impressive. Okay, so daily active time spent for Snapchatters 35 and older watching shows and publisher content increased by more than 40% year over year. All right, so for this one, I think that, of course, we're just looking at percentages here. We do not actually have solid numbers. So for that, we are unable to really say if it's really, really good. But for Snapchatters 35 and older watching shows and publisher content increasing more than 40% year over year, ultimately, I think that is still pretty good. At least it is increasing, not decreasing. Okay, the rest of them is just basically the other projects that they've been doing. All right, what I really wanted to talk about is Snapchat Plus. Okay, Snapchat Plus is going to be huge. Okay, so Snapchat Plus is basically the subscription service for them to get exclusive, experimental, and pre-release feature. So this Snapchat Plus, basically you have to pay $4 every single month for this subscription service. Okay, right now they actually reached 1.5 million paying subscribers in quarter 3. So when they actually came out in quarter 2, I was very, very happy, because I wanted to see Snapchat start to diversify the way they earn money. When Snapchat only earns money from their ad revenue, they are going to suffer. By creating a subscription model, and of course, creating a subscription model also comes with features, perks, and attraction for the paying subscriber to actually enjoy all these certain benefits. Okay, so getting 1.5 million subscribers in Q3. Now they're being offered in 170 countries worldwide. What I do want to see is for Snapchat Plus subscribers to grow year over year. Okay, let's see by the next quarter for Snapchat. If the next quarter for Snapchat Plus, if they were to reach somewhere in the 2 million or 2.5 million figure, I think that would be absolutely amazing, because that would mean that year over year they can easily kind of aim for about 200% increase. I think that would be the best case scenario for Snapchat. Okay, because for Snapchat to be able to depend on a paying subscriber, on paying subscribers to actually upkeep on the revenue itself, that would help keep Snapchat afloat. Not just begging, just holding on to the fact that they have to use ad revenue as their main source of revenue. All right, so I'm happy for Snapchat Plus. Personally, I'm not someone who is using Snapchat Plus, but I'm just saying that because as an investor for Snapchat, I'm happy to see that they are diversifying. All right, so we have to move on. Let's see. All right, these are the business highlight. I think that those are normal. All right, let's look at the graphs. Okay, like I said, DAUs up 19%, pretty good. North America up 4%, 11% up in Europe. Rest of the world up 34%. So I think rest of the world we have to take into consideration of Asia most likely, and also I think I want to say Russia probably had a drop in DAUs, but after this whole situation, it kind of just increased again, and it's most likely going to be reflected in this whole entire graph as well. All right, revenue by geography. I think this is interesting. Okay, increase, of course, with your rest of the world, increasing by 22%. This is where a lot of the money is also coming in. Of course, with a 34% increase in your DAUs worldwide, it only makes sense for the rest of the world to also increase by 22% on revenue. All right, ARPU, which is your average revenue per user. Globally, they actually went down by 11%, but you can see that, the rest of the world down by 9%, and Europe down by 5%, which is why I think that for ARPU, I feel the huge hit actually came from Europe. Okay, because over here you can see that Europe up by 5% in terms of revenue, but for the ARPU, they're also down by 5%, whereas for the rest of the world, they're up by 22% in terms of their revenue, but they're only down by 9% in their ARPU. So I do think that Europe is most likely going to be the main bulk of the hit of where everything went wrong. All right, gross margin, I don't think there's not much for us to really talk about. Adjusted operating expense margin and adjusted operating expense, same thing. All right, I do want to get into the financial guidance. I think this is going to be the only thing that you really need to talk about, which is financial guidance. Snapchat basically said, given uncertainties related to the operating environment, we are not providing our expectations for revenue or adjusted EBITDA for the fourth quarter of 2022. All right, so what does this actually mean? Previously, Snapchat did not want to give us a guidance, and clearly because of due to all the analysts doing their own guidance and such, they kind of miss, Snapchat kind of missed on those guidance on those analysts as well. But because of them not becoming forward-looking and not really giving any form of a guidance, it kind of just repeats what happened in Q1 and Q2 of 2022, with a lot of companies not giving guidance. And this is by far the biggest reason of why Snapchat dropped 26% in the pre-market. Personally, I think that not giving guidance is a huge issue. Of course, Snapchat also gave out a profit warning. That's also a huge issue. And then they started laying off workers. That's a huge issue. But not giving guidance for any sort of company, not willing to give guidance for their own company, would definitely reflect badly on themselves. So I think that is one of the reasons why Snapchat was a little bit affected. All right, However, just one last thing before we actually finish off this thing that I do want to highlight it out to you guys, which is in, oh, hold on, it's in the other one. Yeah, okay. So over here, you can see this is a statement of operation. Over here, you can see that this is the amount of revenue that they have been using. Okay, this is the amount of revenue that they have. Okay, I do want to check on the stock buyback. I'm certain I checked on this yesterday though. Am I blind? Oops. All right, so over here you can see that this is the consolidated statements of cash flow. Okay, so you can see that the net loss $360 million. However, you have to go down to the fine prints of things, which is over here. Okay, repurchase of Class A non-voting common stock at $500 million. Okay, so what this actually means is that Snapchat is actually intending to buy back shares. If anything, they actually bought back $500 million. Of course, these are non-cash purchase, so you cannot really count it into cash flow. But at the same time, this was actually done, so they have been buying back their own shares as well at $500 million. Pretty cool. Okay, so something that we have to look forward into. But something that I personally am interested is over here, which is sales and marketing. Okay, because sales and marketing is going to be two different things, which is one is for ads, okay, and this next is for creators. Okay, I think that Snapchat is paying their creators and also for the sales and marketing in general up to $270 million in this quarter. I'm not sure if this is a good or bad thing. Personally, I feel that if they were to pay their creators more, it would also do more of a conversion. But of course, because we're talking about Snapchat over here, it's very hard for us to really make that argument today. Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure if this is going to be the best for Snapchat. There might be changes down the road if they start to skim down on the sales and marketing, where they actually pay creators lesser. I think that that's going to be heavily affecting the platform as well. So I think that's going to be the very hard balance for them to actually work out on. All right, but anyway, that's all I have for the entire Snaps earnings report. This is the entire summary. Okay, so anyway, if you guys enjoy this sort of content, please subscribe and like this video. And of course, I will leave you guys to say goodbye. I'll see you guys in the next one.